vocabulary practice, 8 practice exercises, and you can look at this also as 8 useful tools to help you understand the meanings of unknown words. And hi, this is Michael Buckoff, and my goal in this video is to demonstrate by looking at different reading passages how to identify the meaning of unknown words by using specific tools. Once you learn how to use these tools, my goal is that you'll look, if you have a TOEFL book, you'll use that, or you'll find some reading passages and try to use some of these tips to help you understand the meanings of unknown words. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, Michael, I got your vocabulary list. I got 1,700 words right now. That's good. And you might say, Michael, I have another vocabulary book, and I have another 5,000 words I've learned there. I'm saying that's great. However, on the TOEFL test, it is a fact that I don't care how many words you learn, that you will always see new words. The TOEFL IBT does it on purpose. There's almost 1 million words in the English language, and they will always throw some low-frequency words on the TOEFL test. Low-frequency words means words that we don't use that much in English, and you will see some of those. Now, my vocabulary words, the purpose of those words is to give you a basic foundation of the English language, so that when you do see words that you're not sure about, at least you know the basic ones, and then that can help you understand the meanings of more difficult words. Anyway, let's move on. In addition to using the context to identify meanings of words in TOEFL IBT reading passages, you will also need to identify meanings of words from existing definitions. Several clues may help you to identify meanings of words from existing definitions. The be verb, appositives or examples, adjective clauses, reference, contrasts, and other words. Practice exercise 1. A complement following the be verb may be used to define the subject. Now, when you're seeing this particular paragraph, it says tsunamis are unlike wind-generated waves, which many of us have observed on a local lake or at a coastal beach, and that they are characterized as shallow water waves with long periods and wavelengths. Now, first of all, a lot of students might see the word tsunamis, immediately they stop. They stop because they don't know what the meaning of that word is. However, remember here you see the be verb here, and then it says they're unlike wind-generated waves, and it says in that they are characterized as shallow water waves. There you go. We know that tsunamis are waves. That's why I always tell students, whatever you do, don't stop when you see a word you don't know. Usually keep reading, and usually you can figure out what that word means by the paragraph that contains a particular word. Obviously here, which answer choice best describes tsunamis? It's something to do with water, isn't it? So we have here an ocean swell, and swell is the same in meaning as wave. So C is your best answer. Let's take a look at another one. 2. The harp is one of the oldest known musical instruments. Its beginnings go as far back as man's recorded history. The instrument was introduced to the Americas by the Spanish and European people of the 1500s. The harp is what? We know that it's a musical instrument. And you know what? That's good enough. You might say, Michael, I still don't know exactly what it is. It doesn't matter. You know it's an instrument to play music. So once you think you got the meaning, you take a look at the questions. And this is called an inference question. It says a harp would most likely be used, so then you have to think about it. If a harp is used for music, would you see it at a baseball game? I don't know. At a business meeting? In a swimming pool? While flying a kite? I don't know. The most likely place here seems to be a concert, because a concert is where music is played. All right, let's take a look at the third paragraph. A trumpet is a wind instrument consisting of a conical or cylindrical, usually metal tube, a cup-shaped mouthpiece, and a flared bell. In other words, it and always make sure that you understand the word it. It goes back to trumpet, right? So a trumpet, or it, is a valved brass instrument which has a cylindrical tube. Again, similar to the last one, you notice the be verb here. A trumpet is a wind instrument. It's a type of instrument, and it says a cup-shaped mouthpiece. It fits over your mouth. It has a flared bell. It's a brass instrument, so again, you might be able to guess that this is a type of musical instrument. So then the question here is, it says, which answer most accurately defines a trumpet? You have a carpentry tool. Is it like a hammer? I don't think so. A brass pipe used for plumbing? Nope. A spear-like globe containing water? An emergency whistle? Or a musical device? Of course, your best answer here is a musical device. Be careful about the TOEFL. I'm going to give you a tip here. On both the listening and the reading, the best answer to a lot of the listening passages, it's the answer that is a restatement of what you've listened to, but usually it doesn't contain the exact words. You notice here where it says brass, and then you noticed in here it also says a valve brass instrument, but be careful about picking the exact words from the reading passage or from the listening passage, because the TOEFL likes to include restatements of those vocabulary words. That's why it's important to have a knowledge of synonyms. So we know that device and instrument is similar in meaning. Right, the next paragraph. Achilles tendonitis causes inflammation and degeneration of the Achilles. The Achilles is the large tendon located in the back of the leg that inserts into the heel. So again, you might not be sure what the Achilles is, but you see the be verb here? So it is the large tendon. It's a tendon. It's located in the back, in the leg, in the back of the leg that inserts into the heel. Now it also says that the Achilles can be inflamed. Is called Achilles tendonitis, which means that the Achilles can be inflamed and it can be degenerated. So the question is, what is it? It's kind of tricky because the bone is also part of the leg, and you might be thinking bone, but because it says tendon, it's into the back of the leg that inserts into the heel and it gets inflamed. A bone cannot get inflamed. Inflamed means to swell, to become bigger. So bone mass, nope. Clear liquid, nope. Unsanded wood, nope. Body tissue, it's not exactly the best answer, but it's the best answer from your four choices. Which brings me to another tip. Sometimes on the TOEFL, you're not looking for the correct answer, you're looking for the most correct answer out of the four choices, or however many choices they give you. Okay, the last sentence I want to look at, which demonstrates the importance of using the be verb, here it is. A time capsule is a container that is filled with objects that show important things about the way people live in a certain time and place. So you see capsule, we know that it's a container, right? And we know that that refers back to container, so the container is filled with objects that show important things about the way people live in a certain time and place. Here's your question. For which answer is a time capsule most likely not used? So you're trying to think about which of these would not be a good use. So to fill with memorabilia. Now you might not even know what that word means, but here's a trick. Maybe you know that, am I right? Memora, you know that it means memory. So bilia is simply something that reminds you of something. So memorabilia, you have to record a place's history, to hold journals, to contain fruit juice, to document important events. So the answer that where it would not be used, I think, it doesn't mention anything about food or juice. It talks about filling the capsule with objects, important objects, that show about the way people lived in a certain time and place. So again, the best answer here would be the answer that you don't want, that would not be used for the time capsule, is actually choice D, to contain fruit juice. Practice exercise 2. Let's talk about the next tool that you can use. Now, the fact is you might not be able to use any single tool to understand a word that you're not sure about. Sometimes you can use some of these tools and sometimes you cannot. However, I think it's important to realize that there are these tools to help you understand the meanings of unknown words, and when opportunities allow, you can use some of these tools to help you make good guesses about the words on the TOEFL reading passages, even in the writing, the speaking, or whatever. There's a ton of vocabulary on all aspects of the test, so I really think that these are important tools to help you succeed. Practice exercise 2, here it is. In a positive, a noun or noun phrase preceding or following another noun and is usually set off by commas might define the noun it precedes or follows. Okay, let's take a look at it. Photosynthesis. The process by which plants convert light energy into stored energy is possible because green plants contain an energy-capturing substance called chlorophyll. Did you get that? Here is your definition. I mean, come on here. How easy is that? So you have photosynthesis, the subject, and then you have the appositive, and then you have an adjective clause right after that that helps you identify the meaning. So it's the process of converting, or it's the process of plants convert light energy into stored energy. So of course, your question is, which answer best defines photosynthesis? Light energy is stored as water. Stored energy is derived from light energy. The conversion of chlorophyll into a green plant. The capturing of a substance called chlorophyll and a green plant which produces energy. Your best answer is stored energy is derived from light energy. Now here's another tip. The TOEFL likes to take, for example, plants convert light energy into stored energy, and it turns it around by saying stored energy comes from or is derived from light energy. So what I'm saying is, on the reading passages, the TOEFL IBT, you read something and then the TOEFL likes to turn it around on you and switch around the subjects and the verbs and the nouns and try to make it difficult for you to understand. But remember, you shouldn't just memorize what you read or the sentence that you read, but try to think about the meaning. So again here, answer choice 2 is going to be your best answer. Okay, let's go to the next one. It says, according to Brown and Levinson, politeness strategies are developed in order to save the hearer's face. Face, the respect that an individual has for him or herself and maintaining that self-esteem in public and private places. Now my question is, what does face mean? Now it said face, comma, and immediately after that you see the word the respect, and also it says in maintaining that self-esteem. Now it says that, which means this refers back to something that's previously mentioned, so self-esteem goes back to respect. So here's your choices. Face is a body part. That's the obvious one. We all know what a face is, but this is not what this face means. That's the literal translation. That's the answer the TOEFL wants you to pick. But because you're listening to my video right now, you're watching my video, you will be smarter than that on the TOEFL, because what you're going to do is you're not going to pick an answer just because it's the literal translation of that. You're going to pick an answer which is the best answer according to the context. There's nothing in that paragraph that's talking about a person's nose, a person's eyes, ears, face, or whatever. So a confrontation, self-worth, strategic development. If you choose C, you have chosen wisely, because self-worth is actually similar to self-esteem, which is similar to respect, which is really a definition of the word face. There we go. All right, let's go to 3. The reduction in thrust also reduces lift and increases drag, further slowing the plane. To change the airplane's direction, the pilot uses controls called ailerons, flaps on the wings. By raising or lowering these flaps, the pilot increases or decreases the lift on each of the wings. Now, you got to be smart here. Now, I'm asking you about ailerons. What is the purpose of these? So you notice that ailerons is also defined by the word flaps, flaps on the wings. By using the word these, or these flaps goes back to flaps, and flaps goes back to ailerons. So for what purpose are they used? Let's take a look at your choices. Of course, it says here the pilot increases or decreases the lift on each of the wings. So your choices here, it says to slow the airplane. Nope. To increase drag. Don't think so. To keep the plane's direction static. Static, see, this is tricky. This is what gives you a heart attack on the TOEFL. They like to throw in these little words like this. This is an answer choice that you're not sure about, but I'm warning you, don't pick an answer choice just because you don't know what the word means. Now, I'll tell you what static means. Static means unmoving. Dynamic is the antonym of static. Dynamic is kind of like moving. So your last choice is your best choice, to increase or decrease lift, because it says the pilot increases or decreases the lift on each of the wings. So that's the purpose of ailerons. Again, do you see the point that I made earlier? My point was, do not, I'm begging you, do not stop when you don't understand a word. Don't stop reading, because if you see ailerons and you stop at this point, you don't see the rest of the sentence, which is important to helping you understand what this particular word is. Okay, let's go to another one. The next paragraph. By driving a hollow tube deep into the miles-thick ice sheets of Antarctica and Greenland, and in glaciers elsewhere, scientists collect ice cores, long cylinders of ancient ice, which provide a dazzlingly detailed record of what was happening in the world over the past several ice ages. Of course, your question is, what is an ice core? Now let's take a look at this one. Again, you're using appositives. They're called adjective phrases or noun phrases that help you understand other ones. Now, see the comma there? Commas are pretty important. They can help you understand things. It helps you understand that this idea is somehow defining ice cores. So ice cores are long cylinders of ancient ice. That's what they are. So what is an ice core? Here's your choices. It says, an ice core is a piece of land. Remember what we said it was here. It's ice, right? A long, hollow cylinder of metal. Is metal same as ice? I don't think so. You have a digital file of Earth's history. Digital? Are we talking about saving it as an MP3 or MP4 file? I don't think so. Then you have a tube of ice. This is your correct answer. Now, cylinder here is similar in meaning to the word tube. So we're going to say here that D is your best answer. I had a quick question. Do you ever wonder where these reading passages come from? I mean, you got to ask yourself, where do they get this stuff? What is all this stuff? I mean, as boring as it is, where does it come from? I'll give you the answer to that question. The reading passages that you see on the TOEFL test, a lot of the lectures that you listen to, they pull these from college textbooks. The reason the vocabulary is difficult is these college textbooks are written by college professors. College professors have PhD degrees. I mean, they've been going to college, almost as long as you are old. If you're, say, 20 years old, they've probably been going to school and doing postdoctorate work for probably 12 or 13 or 15 years. So they've been going to college for a very long time. And you can imagine, if you've been reading all these scholarly articles and you've been writing these 100-page papers, you're actually going to have a very, very high vocabulary because of having done those things. Okay, here we go. 5. Dissociation identity disorder. The phenomena of completely disconnecting oneself from a memory or memories and the emotions around the memories and creating a separate identity to hold memories and emotions is generally believed to be caused by very severe abuse during childhood. Now your question is, which answer best describes dissociation identity disorder? Now do you see where it says here? And then you have the comma again. That's a signal that you're going to get a definition of this, the phenomena of completely disconnecting oneself from a memory and the emotions around the memory. Now we have to take a look at the answers. Again, I don't think that it says exactly what it is, but you have to be pretty good at guessing here. So which answer best describes dissociation identity disorder? So it's a fond childhood memory. If it says that it's caused by very severe abuse, come on. If somebody beat the crap out of you when you were a kid, or they did something very, very bad to you, are you going to look at that as a fond, as a good? Fond means a pleasant memory? I don't think so. How about 2? It is heart disease. Are we talking about the heart? A physical problem? No. How about a lung disorder? Heart disease and lung disorder are similar in that they're talking about physical sicknesses. And it's neither of those answers. How about it is a mood swing? A mood swing means temporarily for just a few minutes you get in a bad mood and you get angry. I don't think that's what it's talking about. And I think the best answer here is C. It's a mental disease. Practice exercise 3. A word or phrase may sometimes be defined by examples. This is yet another tool that you can use to define the meaning of unknown words. So the question here is, what does feedstock mean? Let's take a look at the sentences here. Recycled materials such as aluminum also provide manufacturers with valuable feedstock. For example, recycled aluminum cans are used to make new cans. So feedstock, it looks like it's using the analogy the recycled cans are used to make the new cans. The new cans actually represent the processed product. So obviously that's not what feedstock refers to. So processed or refined is not good in feed store. Don't pick it because of the word feed. Your best answer here is going to be raw materials. I think the example is you use raw materials to make new cans, or you can use recycled aluminum cans to make new cans. All right, let's take a look at 2. The question here is, what does the word notion mean? It says, prior to this period, employers, government, and national sentiment held that there were jobs appropriate for women and those which were inappropriate because women were not capable of fulfilling the tasks involved in such work. Propaganda reinforced these notions as the popular image of women had of them. For instance, as housewives are living glamorous lives but almost always dependent on men. So I think what I'm asking you here is you see notions. You also see the word these. And what does these mean? And you have this word sentiment, right? Sentiment's kind of like belief. That jobs certain jobs were either inappropriate or appropriate for women, and then it says, for instance, it gives an example to help further illustrate this concept of notions: housewives living glamorous lives but being dependent on men. So the question here is, it says, all of the following are similar to notion except. Now, when you see this question except on the TOEFL, it means that the 3 or 4 answers are actually true or good answers, and there's one answer which is not true or not included, and that's the answer that you want to pick. So you have idea, I think, is good, feeling is good, thought is good, belief is good, but novel is not good. Novel kind of has to do with writing a book or a book that's written, and novel idea also has to do with like a new or innovative type thing, which I don't think it has that meaning either. So I think this is your best answer that you'd want to pick that's not similar to the word notion. Again, I'm just pointing out here, it's important here to pay attention to the example that comes after the definition to help you understand what the meaning of that word is. Okay, 3. Our question here is, with which is a pathogen most likely associated? So we're kind of looking at what the word pathogen means. Disease, insect or stress-resistant plants, and superior individuals of a specific species can be selected and propagated through tissue culture. The natural variability is exploited by inducing chemical and physical agents or radiation known to cause mutations. Now, I think this idea is important, and then you get this word. Now, just because this comes after that, you know that this sentence has to somehow be related to that. So they're talking about here is using chemical or physical agents or a type of radiation to cause mutations. Mutations is kind of like changes that you can force in a plant because of chemicals. Then you have pathogen-free plants have, for example, been obtained, maintained, and mass propagated. So pathogen, it says pathogen-free. It means free of pathogens. And pathogens, I think, have to do with physical agents, maybe, or radiation or chemical type things, which can cause mutations. So obviously we don't want plants to have these kinds of mutations. So here's your choices: chemical, radiation, tissue, individual, or disease. I think that the best answer for the word pathogen, I think, is going to be disease. Pathogen-free means a plant which is free of disease. I think would be your best answer. Okay, let's take a look at 4 here. It says, and of course the question here is, what does the word subject mean? Okay, here we go. What is interesting is that researchers have continued Pavlov's experiments with classical conditioning using other subjects, such as people. They discovered humans are conditioned to very similar methods. For example, after a sound was continually combined with eating potato chips, college students came to salivate in reaction to the sound alone. So it says subjects, and then it says such as people, and people are an example of a type of subject, right? So that example kind of helps you understand that. So it says, which answer is synonym for the word subject? You have topic, sentence, individual, case study, or noun phrase. Of course, individual is going to be your best answer in this case. So it has to do either with a person or a thing. So I think because it says subjects and it says such as people, and people and individual are kind of similar, we'll pick answer choice C as the best answer. Okay, our question with number 5 is, of course, what does homologous mean? says the scientific question is whether the chimp's abilities are homologous to human language. For example, whether the two systems show the same basic organization owing to descent from a single system in their common ancestor. You notice the word homologous here. This is, for example, whether the two systems show the same. Again, there is your definition. Your definition is contained within this idea of for example. So you have homologous is most closely associated with which word? You have similarity, discourse, language difference, or ancestor. Your best answer here is similarity. Practice exercise 4. In this exercise, you're going to be doing some practice with the word or. A word or phrase may sometimes be defined by a synonym following the word or. Now this is just another example. I continually tell you that your brain wants to stop, but do not stop when you see a word you don't know. Keep reading, and probably you can get an understanding of what that word means. So we're paying attention to the word or. In the Pacific Ocean, where the typical water depth is about 4,000 meters, a tsunami travels at about 200 meters per second or over 700 kilometers an hour. So or is important because if you're not sure what 200 meters per second means, you can also say or 700 kilometers an hour is basically the same thing. Of course, your question is, how fast do tsunamis travel? So of course your best answer here is 200 meters per second or 700 kilometers an hour, but you do not actually have that choice. You'll notice it says 700, but it says miles per hour, not kilometers per hour. So D would be your best answer. All right, let's take a look at 2. Now we're taking a look at the word clay, what clay means. In contrast to rocks on Earth, moon rocks contain no water-bearing minerals such as mica or clays. So all the following are true about clay except. Now when it says water-bearing minerals, we know that mica or clay are both examples of water-bearing minerals. We have to say that. So we also know that mica is a mineral and clay is a mineral, and they both are water-bearing minerals. And we also know that they're not moon rocks and they don't come from the moon because moon rocks don't have any water. So it says all the following are true about clay except. You have that it is a mineral, that it is not a moon rock, that it is devoid of water, that it is different from moon rocks, and that it is similar to mica. So I think it's a mineral, which is true. We know it's not a moon rock. We know it's different from moon rocks. We know it is similar to mica, but it is certainly not devoid of water because it's a water-bearing mineral. So answer choice 3 is your best answer. Now, another thing I'll talk about is these prefixes. D. Devoid means not containing or lacking something. You've probably heard other words like devaluate, to reduce something. So sometimes when you see the word D, it might mean not having something, the meaning of that prefix. All right, let's go to 3. The question here would be, what does the word downdraft mean? It's got Andrew Crook, National Center for Atmospheric Research, or NCAR, and Donna Tucker, University of Kansas, may have found the key. The strength of intense downdrafts, of course, or high velocity winds, I think it's this idea here is important because it helps you identify what downdrafts mean. It says that emerge from mountain storms and stir up severe weather downstream. Again, my point is pay attention to or in TOEFL reading passages. Okay, it says what is a downdraft? A heavy downpour. Downpour means rain. I'm going to say no. Mountain snow? Nope. Raging river? Nope. That's water. A's water. C's water. A research study? Nope. Fast moving air? Yes. Notice how the best answer is what I've been pointing out to you is usually what I call as a restatement of the key word. So you have here a high velocity winds is similar to fast moving air. So kind of high means fast, or high velocity means fast moving, and wind and air are similar. All right, let's go to 4. Our question here is hypergamy. What does hypergamy mean? It says, these demographic peculiarities reveal a pattern of upward marriage, or hypergamy. In this case, you have the upward marriage, which is something that we already know, but then it gives you the more complicated, what I call the vocabulary term you don't know, which is hypergamy. But upward marriage and hypergamy are the same, which is quite different from endogamy and reflects an acknowledged status difference between communities. So we also know that endogamy is the opposite of hypergamy. And hypergamy means upward marriage. So endogamy means no upward marriage. Maybe marrying equal type marriage things. So what is hypergamy? Marrying more than one partner, marrying someone with higher social status, marrying someone with lower social status, or marrying someone with equal social status, or marriage resulting in increased divorce rates. So it means upward marriage, so I think B is going to be your best answer because of upward marriage and higher social status. All right, let's take a look at 5. Our question here is the word soul. It says the word psychology comes from the word psyche, spirit, and logos, which means study. It is literally the study of the spirit or soul. The term seems to have been used for the first time by Melanchthon in the 16th century. So again here, spirit or soul are synonymous. So soul means spirit or spirit means soul. So what does soul refer to? Again, your best answer is not exactly what you read, but a restatement of what you read. A test case, an immaterial force, a physical entity, a 16th century folk tale, another word for logos. Your best answer here is immaterial force, and spirit or soul is similar in meaning.